Terry, thanks a lot for being here this weekend.
No, you're welcome. It's a real pleasure.
You kicked off an event that for a lot of us is very near and dear to our heart, taking a much harder look at men, masculinity, vulnerability. You have done a lot of work around men's shame and seeking help. Very generally, can you summarize 30 years worth of work and speak to the men out there maybe who are early in their journey in recovery? What are the things that we need to know and do to seek that help and healing that you've been teaching us about?
Well, you know, one of the things I'm fond of saying is that men are about as likely to ask for help with an emotional problem as they are to ask for directions. And for the same reason, that it's unmanly, that we're supposed to be in charge and on top of everything. And one of the things I said in my talk is that the essence of the traditional setup for men is being invulnerable. The more invulnerable you are, the more manly you are. And it's hard for us to admit real vulnerability and reach out for any kind of help about much of anything. So one of my clients says it takes a lot of guts to be a vulnerable guy. And my message is, if you're in pain, if you think that your life could be less gray, brighter, more connected, more fulfilled, go for it, man. Go for it. Get the help that you want and need and reach out. And help does help. I started off 40 years ago. You know, I come from an abusive background myself. I was pretty miserable inside my own head for decades. And I was smart enough to reach out and get the help I needed, and the way I'm living now is a lot different than the way I lived then, and now is a lot better. So if I can do it, you can do it. Go get the help.
Well said.
Thank you.
Almost the antithesis of health that you describe is disconnection, patriarchy, shame. Practically, how does one counter these things when we encounter them in life?
Yeah, well, get some support, get a good coach by way of a therapist, 12-step sponsor, a relational coach. Get somebody who's going to mentor you and help you. And learn a couple of things about how to stand up to those harsh voices inside of yourself, how to summon up the energy of self-love, how to stand up to immature or, to be honest, offensive behavior toward other people, your wife, your kids, your friends. How to come down from the one up and up from the one down. It's a practice. You can read about it, you can listen to tapes, but the best way to do it is to have a live flesh and blood person that you trust to help you on this journey. So don't be ashamed. You know, a lot of men have what I call compound shame. They're ashamed of being ashamed. They're depressed about being depressed. And I want to empower the men who are listening to this to stand up for themselves and get what they need to work it out.
In a lot of ways, it's the most masculine thing that we can do is to raise that white flag, I think I'm hearing you say.
You know what? If you don't want to do it for you, do it for your children. One of the things I tell the guys that I work with is the best gift you can give your kids is your own recovery. So think about them. Think about the kind of childhood you had. Think maybe about the kind of father you had. Think about the kind of father you want to be. Think about what you want to pass on to these kids. You're the bridge between what you grew up with and what they grow up with. So be responsible. Step up. If not for you, then for the people you love.
Lastly, one of the most impactful things that I heard a lot of very impactful things when you spoke, and again, we're really grateful you kicked it off for us.
Thank you.
If it's harsh, it's off.
Yeah.
Summarize this idea for people who weren't sitting in the room and who aren't familiar with it.
Yeah, this is a very powerful thing. Particularly for a lot of guys, there is no redeeming value in harshness. There's nothing that harshness does that loving firmness doesn't do better. So if you're harsh with others, if you're harsh between your ears, there's no good that comes of it. Soften up. Translate that harshness into firm containment. You know, there are lots of parts of us that need to be stood up to. Stand up to them. But there's a difference between standing up to something in hatred and standing up to it in respect and love. There are no parts of us that we need to wrestle to the ground, that we need to beat up, that we need to get rid of. These are just immature parts of us. Put your arm, this is what I say, when one of our inner kids kicks up, put them on your lap, put your arms around them, love them up, and take their sticky hands off the steering wheel. You don't want them driving the bus, you want to be driving the bus. But do it with love.
Terry, thanks a lot for being part of the Gender Matters, Men Matter. We're honored to have you here. Thank you.
It's been an honor to be here. You're welcome.
Thanks.